Welcome into another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today, I'm looking at some Dynasty buys. As always, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let's go. So, my first player, Puka Nacua, and despite all of the evidence, I think that Nacua is not treated as the elite wide receiver that he really is. And I'm kind of surprised. I don't think I've done a buy video on Nacua. I've talked about it a lot, but I've never actually done a buy segment, so we'll do it now. In 11 games this year, 79 catches, 990 yards, 3 touchdowns, 106 targets, 7.2 catches, and 90 yards per game. Actually better than his 2023 rookie year. And this was despite leaving a game early due to the original injury and then getting ejected from another game. So I don't think it felt as elite as maybe it was because of the 3 touchdowns on 106 targets, which is unlucky. Obviously, that's a cause for a potential positive touchdown regression in Nacua's favor. Now, Nacua averaged 18.8 fantasy points per game, third among wide receiver. Only Jamar Chase and Chris Godwin were better last year. Not Justin Jefferson, not Amon-Ra, not Malik Neighbors, and not CeeDee Lamb. So he was better than all of those players on a points per game basis. And this was with only 3 touchdowns. So why do I have Puka Nacua as a dynasty buy? Well, I think the Devontae Adams addition is putting his price down a little. I'm not saying Adams is washed. In fact, Adams was actually still pretty good last year. But Nacua was elite even when Cooper Kupp was performing in 2023 and when Kupp was playing well this year. Nacua did miss 6 games in 2024, but he played a full 17 in 2023. I keep hearing that Nacua is always hurt. This is not true. Players will miss games. This is a reality. But Nacua did what we wanted. He returned from the injury and immediately was elite. Elite immediately. There were no concerns. He's not hurt now, so I don't understand really why this is a concern for people. And then people, I think, are still hanging on to the 5th round draft capital. He's outgrown it. I get it. Draft capital is something to hang on to look at. And at running back, that's more true. Touches are given and can be taken away. We see this all the time. Dameon Pierce, Tyler Algier, etc. At wide receiver, it doesn't work that way. Wide receiver targets are 100% earned. Puka Nacua had 160 targets in 2023. He followed it up with 106 in an incomplete 11 games last year. He's a target machine. Nothing will change that. This is an elite wide receiver. Every metric shows that he's one of the best wide receivers in the league. So, in order to buy Puka Nacua, there were so many ridiculous offers in the Dynasty Daddy trade database. We'll go over a few, starting with the most ridiculous. I almost didn't believe this was real, but it was there. Buy Puka Nacua for Tank Dell and 112. Okay, you know to do that. You don't need me to tell you to do that. It was there. A little unreasonable. The next one, buy Puka Nacua and 401 for Bijan Robinson. If I have the choice between an elite wide receiver and an elite running back, I'm going to take the elite wide receiver almost all the time. And you get an extra pick with Puka Nacua. So for me, this would be a pretty easy one to go to Puka Nacua. And then this last one, you get Puka Nacua and Rashee Rice for Garrett Wilson and Rome Odunze. For me, 3 of these players have something in common. Rice, Wilson, Odunze, they're all in that very good asset range. Puka Nacua is elite. So if there's one elite thing, I want the side with the elite player. There were many trades to get Puka Nacua, but these were just 3 of them. I'd suggest exploring the market on him in your league. So my next player, Marvin Harrison Jr. So if you notice, the players I'm looking to buy right now are mostly very high-end players. I don't like risking buying a lot of middling players right now. So Marvin Harrison Jr., I get it. He's not what we wanted in 2024. And I get it. There's a lot of anger. If you spent the 102 on him instead of Malik Neighbors or Jaden Daniels, it must be frustrating. But Marvin Harrison Jr. was not bad in 2024. He just wasn't as good as those players. In 17 games, he had 62 catches, 885 yards, 8 touchdowns, 116 targets, 3.6 catches, and 52.1 yards a game. So the real problem is the catch rate, right? Do you blame it on Kyler Murray? Do you blame it on the offense? Or do you blame it on MHJ? For fantasy, though, this crushed fantasy managers. He had just 11.6 PPR points a game. 40th among wide receivers. So it wasn't great. Now, I did a version of this video 2 months ago, and I almost feel like he's become more of a buy in that time because he's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Now, what does that mean? The Cardinals haven't really added to their offensive skill players in free agency. I do expect them to add some sort of wide receiver in the draft to compete with Michael Wilson for the wide receiver 2 role. But nobody they add is going to be a threat to MHJ as the wide receiver 1 or threaten the overall top 2 targets of MHJ and Trey McBride. I also, like I said, kind of generally feel that the price on Marvin Harrison has continued to slide downward, even more than the last time I talked about buying him. So we're only at a better price now. Now, in terms of buying Marvin Harrison Jr., I did see a lot of trades. Most were good. There were a few I wouldn't have wanted to do, but this is the type of player I'm looking to buy now before he breaks out. So the first, Jonathan Taylor and a 27 third. For me, Jonathan Taylor is a hard sell. 26-year-old running back. For most of last year, really wasn't that good. He had those 2 big games right at the end. But I would easily take Marvin Harrison Jr. here without a second thought. Then this one, a package of 108, 205, and 206. I mean, do I usually want to hold picks to close to the draft? Yes. Would anything in this draft at those picks match up to Marvin Harrison Jr.? No. So I'd easily take this offer right now. And then this last one is wild to me. You could buy him for 27 first and 27 second. I get it. People are obsessed with the 27 class already. Maybe you'll get Jeremiah Smith. Wow. Maybe in 2 years you'll get Jeremiah Smith. This is not a good way to play if you're getting the picks. But as much as I hate sending future picks away, it's really not my style. I would do this to get Marvin Harrison Jr. There's just no contest. Those picks could be at the end of the draft. I mean, you don't know what they're going to be worth in the 2 years from now. You usually don't hear me talking like that. That's usually the opposite of my strategy. But sometimes you have to take good trades, even if they're the opposite of your typical strategy. So be flexible with your dynasty teams. Now, if you like my YouTube content, you should sign up for the Patreon. Right now, I'm offering a 50% discount at all tiers using code TylerYT. You can get my rankings, including rookie ranks, access to the Discord, all my write-ups, direct message fantasy advice, and the ability to ask in advance questions for the YouTube videos. Tiers begin at just $5 a month, $250 with that discount. If you want to know more about the Patreon, check out my Why You Should Join the Patreon videos on the channel. I'm going to do one more before the NFL draft, probably sometime right in the week before. So look for that if you want more info. I don't know if you can hear, but I'm kind of a little under the weather today, but I'm active all the time in the Patreon Discord, no matter what. So if you're looking for my up-to-date dynasty advice, trades, whatever, I don't take days off in the Patreon Discord. So I'm there 365 days a year. So that's the place to ask me questions. With that said, I'll move into my final dynasty buy. So my last player, Sam Darnold. So this one is less of a player take and more of a market take, I would say. I'm not saying I'm 100% convinced on Darnold for 2025 and beyond, but I do think he's a buy based on his current perception and cost and based on what you can trade for him and what that'll be worth. So in 2024, Darnold was really good. 66.2% completion, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 7.9 yards per attempt, 254.1 passing yards a game, 67 carries, 212 yards, and a touchdown. Totaled 4,319 passing yards, but he didn't run much. So for fantasy, it wasn't like a league-winning season. And additionally, those last 2 games that were bad, I think, are sticking in people's minds and erasing all of the good games. So he averaged 18.1 fantasy points a game, 9th among quarterbacks. And this was in 4-point passing touchdown. So solid performance. In a super flex, that's a very, very valuable player. And in case it's not obvious, we're always talking about super flex on the channel. If I'm not specifying, it's super flex. Anytime I'm talking about a quarterback, we don't trade quarterbacks in 1 QB. That's not a thing that exists. So that's why we don't play 1 QB dynasty, because quarterbacks are dead asset. You can't trade them. So obviously this is super flex. And the 9th scoring quarterback is a very, very valuable super flex asset. There's no denying that. So moving to why Darnold's dynasty buy. I think there's a lack of enthusiasm. And the Seahawks might improve their offense. So people hate this Seahawks landing spot. I get it with the offensive line. It's not as good as the Vikings, but it's not like it's a devoid offense of any weapons at all. So the Seahawks might take a wide receiver at 18th overall. I've seen that mocked. I've seen Matthew Golden mocked there. I've seen Ted McMillan mocked there a couple of times. I'm not saying that that's going to boost Darnold's value that much, but it'll help. I definitely think the Seahawks got a second-round pick for DK Metcalf. They got a third-round pick for Geno Smith, and they have that 18th overall pick. So they have extra picks, first-round pick. They're going to get something at wide receiver. They have two good running backs. They're going to get something. They're not going to just go in with Jackson Smith-Njigba, Cooper Kupp, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. There's something missing there. I think there's going to be another player added. And I think that might help the perception of Darnold. So regardless of the perception, though, I see 3 offers for Sam Darnold that I liked. There were more, but I picked 3. The first, for Stephon Diggs and Aaron Jones. Now, Stephon Diggs is a sell for me. These are ancient players in a super flex. I mean, Stephon Diggs is 31. Aaron Jones is 30. I don't want these players. So of these players, the only one that's going to carry any dynasty value possibly in the future is Sam Darnold. The other 2 most certainly will not. So I would take Sam Darnold too easily. The next, Sam Darnold and Rashee Rice for Derrick Henry in 203. I mean, I love this one. I would rather have Rashee Rice over Derrick Henry in Dynasty, and rather have Sam Darnold over the 203. So smash accept there. And then the last, Sam Darnold for 112. Okay, that's the most fair of the 3. Is there going to be a player at 112 in this class that I would prefer over Sam Darnold? I don't think so. Yeah, I doubt it. So I think I would take this in a super flex, but I understand wanting to wait on this one until you're on the clock. It's probably not going to go away as an offer. So this is the most fair of the 3. But of course, we want to try to do unfair offers before we do fair ones. So look into offers like the previous ones before you move on to something more fair like this one. So I'll get into the Patreon questions and then we'll wrap up the show. Are you buying low on Chris Olave at the moment, or do the health production concerns worry you? Not sure I'm buying low on Chris Olave. I have seen the Saints sometimes mock Ted McMillan, which would crush Chris Olave's value or at least lower it significantly. So no, I'm not buying low on Chris Olave right now. No, unless it's very low. But otherwise, no. If you're stuck in the middle between competing and rebuilding, but have 4 to 6 first-round picks, do you prefer to draft rookies or to sell them off for players to compete for a championship? Oh, wow. This is a great Patreon question. For me, I like exploiting that value while I'm on the clock. Sometimes you can get an overpay. I don't mind just drafting the rookies if they come at a value. I can tell you I won't be trading up. I don't tend to do that. It's usually either trade out for veterans, trade down, or make the picks. But yeah, I mean, this is the type of thing that I'll be covering pretty much exclusively in the Patreon. I mean, this is pretty much what I do, right? During rookie season, I'll go, you can ask about all of your picks, and I'll cover what you can do with each pick, go over your offers, tell you which side to do, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable doing both of those things. Or trading for packages, including future firsts, is often my favorite. If I had to say one thing. When you decide to go from best player available to team need, I usually stick to best player available. Near the end of the draft, maybe, I don't know, but typically I stick to best player available. It's rare that I'll ever deviate from that. So unless, it's a really specific situation, I'll just say never and stick to that. And yeah, if I'm going to give you advice to deviate from best player available, that would definitely occur in the Patreon because those are very rare situations. Normally, I just want to stick to value. Okay. What are some of the things you consider when drafting in startups when rookie picks are available? Okay, I like those types of startups where you can draft rookie picks. With them being lottery tickets, well, actually, rookie picks are the safest things to draft in those startups because they're not going to lose value. Whereas any player you draft can lose value because of the NFL draft. When do you decide to take them versus the established player? Well, luckily, I have a pick value chart on the Patreon to tell you when to do that. So I would say I just use my own. If you're asking what I do, I use my own value chart that I made for the Patreon to tell me the value of the rookie pick versus the established player. Now, I will say one thing more than that. If it's close, I'll lean toward the rookie pick. Why? Because I have a second chance to trade the rookie pick during the rookie draft when it's on the clock. Whereas if I take a player, I don't know if people want that player. So I don't have the opportunity to trade that player. So if it's a tough decision, I'll go with the rookie pick. But otherwise, no, I'm not afraid of taking them because they're lottery tickets or anything like that. Which quarterback in free agency has the biggest impact on the team they went to? Well, none of them. I mean, there was no quarterback move that had like a massive impact. I mean, maybe Justin Fields. But I'm not even sure how much of an impact that had. Aaron Rodgers wasn't good last year. So yeah. Honestly, probably the biggest impact was Matthew Stafford staying with the Rams to continue giving value to the Rams offense. But this was not an impactful quarterback cycle. Almost all of the really top quarterbacks stayed where they are, or nothing happened with them or anything like that. So yeah, I'm not super excited. I mean, I wasn't very excited about Sam Darnold to the Seahawks, for example. So that's kind of my take on that. Russell Wilson to the Giants, not exciting. Aaron Rodgers to wherever he goes, again, will not be that exciting. Now, before I totally blow out my voice, if you liked the video, make sure to support the channel by subscribing. And don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all my exciting content as it drops. Of course, if you want my best fantasy football advice, it's available on the Patreon. Dynasty content year-round, and all the rookie pre-draft content will be on there. 50% discount on all tiers using code TylerYT, and you can click on that in the link in the top right corner, patreon.com/fantasy advice. Every sign-up helps support my independent content. But once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all